Hello and welcome to Super Necessary. I haven't said those words in a while. It's good to be back. I haven't been here in a while, but it is good to be back. And as you can see, I am joined by Armand Herczeg ahead of his fight on FCC on September the 7th. Armand, great to speak with you as always. How have you been keeping?
I'm great, bro. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's a good opportunity to get some words out and get talking to people again. So I'm just looking forward to it. It's only nearly 3 weeks now, basically 3 weeks until weigh-ins and that. So new weight division, new opportunity. So I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just over 3 weeks until fight night now, and obviously weighing and stuff. But how's camp been going in that sense?
Camp's been going really well. It's the first time where I've done like a proper camp where like really focused on my nutrition, on my strength and conditioning, and on my sparring and all. And like I'm working with a proper team now, where like it's not just me trying to like come up mostly with the game plan and stuff like that. I have a good coach around me, good teammates, good high level lads. Like obviously, I'm working a lot with Louis Lightning. I'm working a lot with Lewis McGrillen, and even Larone's giving tips and everything and getting bits off Callum Connor. Dennis is obviously me and him are in the same gaff, so we're always improving something. And just having all these top level fighters around me, it's just helping me grow so much, and I just can't wait to display it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you touched on it there. I mean, some of the names in the gym. Obviously, you've made the move to Manchester top team, and like just some of the names there, like you said, you got Lewis and Grillen, Louis Lee Scott, rather, Lerone Murphy, Dennis, obviously. Like, just has it surprised you at all how good the team actually is in there?
Do you know what? I knew of Princey from fighting an octagon on my debut, and like I was chatting to him then, and I knew he was Dennis's coach and all, and Dennis always told me about top team and all, but half the time you can't you listen to Dennis, but you don't listen to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he loves to just blag, and not even blagging like a bad way, but like he just talks a lot and it talks a lot of shit sometimes. And fair play to him. He got me to move over. He was saying it to me from the start to go, and it would do levels for me. And I finally listened to him, and I listened to Shem as well, who was telling me the same thing. And I can't say they weren't wrong. They were completely right, and I should have listened to them a bit earlier. But I'm glad I've done it, and it's definitely opened my eyes. Like Prince is just a genius in the game. He understands the game so well. His the way he coaches is brilliant. It's out of this world. He's a top level coach in the world, not just in England and not just in Europe. He is one of the best coaches in the world, and he's proven that. And I'm going to be able to show that within the few months that I've trained here. It's been like 7 months now, I think. So within them 7 months, I've leveled up so much, and I can't wait to just display it on such a big platform as FCC.
Yeah, yeah. No, like you say, it is a great platform. What prompted the move? Obviously, because you were seem to be doing well over in Ireland and things like that. But what was the big catalyst for the move?
I needed a change. Like Ireland, like the teams I was training were good. I was obviously training a bit with FAI as well, but I couldn't get consistent with them. The local gym I was training in was a good gym, but I felt like I wasn't progressing enough. I wasn't going further. I was just flatlining in the one position, and I feel like if I want to compete at the highest level, I needed to not be always like I was. I was mostly I was the best featherweight by a mile. There wasn't much featherweights in the gym either, but I felt like I was the best mixing it together and at the level I was fighting at. And I just needed a change. So now I'm just going over the top team. I'm putting in against killers all the time. And even now that I'm going down to bantamweight, even the boys that are bantamweights, there's loads of us. There's Darius, obviously. There's Louis, Pav, McGrillen, all the lads, and they're putting it on me every day. So I'm just leveling up more, and I'm back to be feeling like a beginner again. So it's just a different change. I needed that change, to be honest, in my outside life and in my MMA life as well.
Yeah, yeah. Did it feel like you needed to sort of, I suppose, get out your comfort zone a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I needed to be in that like sink or swim position where I put everything into this, and that's what I've done now. So I'm happy with the decision. It's been the best decision I've ever made. I'm looking physically better, mentally I'm better, and I'm just enjoying everything about it. Every day I wake up and I'm enjoying the life I'm living.
Yeah. No, and I'm happy for you, mate, because I know like this year kind of been the easiest for you. Obviously, you put a post up in April saying, calling out literally any fighter in Octagon just to try and get a fight, and it just wasn't quite going your way. So, like, just glad to see you doing well again. That time where you were trying to get a fight, how difficult was that for you, like that period of time?
I felt like it could have been a lot easier, and they made it. They made it very difficult for no apparent reason. They tried to match me on the day of the fight of Birmingham, 20 hours or something on notice or something like that. I said yes. I originally asked for like an underground rules because I just had a staph infection. I was just off the antibiotics, didn't really train, but I'm always ready to go, and I'm always willing to fight anyone. No, I didn't get the fight. Your man didn't take the fight. But it doesn't really matter. I felt like they should have given me a fight. They promised me September 21st, and then I got released. But I'm glad to be released because I'm not stuck in a contract with them now, and I can focus on my career more and start getting me fights rolling again. It's one of them things where like I don't mind that I didn't have a fight because it got me to level up and not really focus on camp and being able to focus on the things that I'm not good at and get better at them, and which I've done. So in a way, it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, yeah. It's rare you're there at that. Obviously, fighters love to fight and go and you fight in January and then now it's going to be just I suppose about 8 months between fights can't be the easiest. But to see that you're able to use that time in a positive way is quite refreshing. Um, so obviously, as you said, you fight on the 7th of September. You're facing Mateusz Ircow. He's coming off a win in his pro debut. What do you make of him as an opponent?
I feel like it's a step up in level for him, whereas for me, like it's kind of like not going backwards, but it's the right fight for me at the right time. Change the team. It's a good tough opponent. He is tough. He's obviously a Polish geezer, Eastern European lad. They bring that Polish power, as they say, but he's just very one dimensional. Decent takedown defense, but I'm not coming to grapple. I think he's going to struggle with like the attacks that I can bring, and it'll be a longer night for him in there than for me. I feel like I'm obviously the favorite going into it, and it's a good name to take. He was FCC amateur featherweight champion. He's coming in off a win as well, so we'll be confident. I'm just looking forward to being on that platform, and it doesn't matter who's in front of me. At the end of the day, like I feel like I'm one of the best lads to it, and I'm going to prove it. So I'm just
Yeah,
looking forward to getting out there and fighting again.
yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, his sort of resume as an amateur. He's obviously including amateurs. He's coming into the fight on 4 wins in a row. Do you find that there's any different challenges facing somebody who's coming in with quite a bit of momentum behind them?
No, not really. Like I feel like, as I said, I'm a step up in level for him, and he really needs to show big improvements, which I don't think he's made. He fights very consistently, so if you're fighting that consistently with camps and that, like you don't have time to progress as much as like I have progressed in the time because I've had a lot of time to work on stuff, whereas he's constantly in a camp, constantly working on what he's good at, and adding a little bit to his game where I've added a lot. I think the big disadvantages as well, like I'm coming down a weight class. I'm going to be a lot bigger than him. I'm going to be huge compared to him, and I can't wait to just show off how much better I am as well. I think he's a decent enough fighter, but where he is in his career is probably the furthest he's going to get. Whereas this is kind of the start of my career again. It's like a rebirth for me. So something I'm really looking forward to showing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be good to see you back in there, and especially, he has got a good pedigree, as you say. You mentioned with the move to Manchester top team, obviously, you're in a great place physically, but also mentally as well. What
Yeah.
what is it that's happened in Manchester top team for you to get in a good mental space?
Just the people around me, like they're very good. They keep me humble with all the slagging we get in the gym. Like there's no one that will ever be able to like to trash talk me like the boys in the gym. So they always keep me humble, and they're just always they're right. If you're doing something good, they say it. If you're doing something wrong, they call you out on it, and they just keep you grounded. And it's like a family environment. It really is. And since I've went over, I feel like I've been there years. It doesn't feel like I'm only there a few months. So they're very helpful. They're very nice, and it's great. Like.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed earlier this week you put a post up that you were at the Recover Clinic, as working with as being in with them as well. Just how's that been? How vital have they been in sort of aiding your recovery during camp?
Yeah, definitely. Like the two boys that I'm working with, Opie and Yamin, they're both brilliant and they're both young lads, so they understand that like what it's like to be young in the sport and young in your craft, whatever you're doing, and they're very helpful. They've been on top of me. I'm going twice a week getting my recovery done, and I think recovery is very very important for the sport. And with the training that I'm doing as well now, like it's a vital part. So like any young fighter who's doing it, remember to make sure you do your recovery and your mobility and that, because that's all important, and it's what you need.
Yeah. Do you think fighters maybe starting out at the very least, you say there, young fighters, make sure you focus on this part of it as well. Do you think they sort of neglect the recovery a little bit at first?
Definitely, like at my amateur career, like I neglected loads. I didn't do strength and conditioning that much. I didn't really do recovery. I just trained like whatever classes I was on, and that's where I got my fitness from and my spot, like my leveling up from. So there's a big difference, and like when you have the right team around you and you're training like a proper professional, it shows the difference even at amateur. And there is a few lads like that have done that. So obviously there's like the likes of Curtis Campbell, even Tom Harvey, who's going to be on the card, who is a top level amateur. You can see that they're training like pros and they're putting in the work. There's lads in our gym that are training with us pros like Dane Bolton. Even Dylan Hall, he's only 18 years old, but he's training with the pros every day, and you can see the levels that they're at already. So it just shows that if you're really putting yourself into this game, you're really leveling up, and it's what you need to be doing. Like these lads are putting in their recovery, their strength and conditioning, and you can see the difference.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, really is, that even, you've been in the game for a little while now, and, even now you're still being able to pick up things and improve yourself and keep learning. It goes to show, the learning never stops in MMA, does it?
No, it doesn't. You have to be a sponge, and sometimes your ego gets in the way of it. But when you have people like Princey around you and the other lads as well, you're kept on top. You make sure you keep learning, and that's the best part.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, the first time we spoke was during Octagon Challenge. Obviously, we had that big mad episode with everyone on,
Yeah,
which was a lot of fun. But speaking of like Octagon Challenge, obviously, it's very different to anything you've ever done.
yeah.
Different to anything you might do in the future. What was the overall experience like for you?
It was good. I wouldn't do it again, but it was a great experience, and I'm grateful for it because without it, I wouldn't be where I am today. If it wasn't for the call up from Paddy to come on to it, I wouldn't have met Dennis, I wouldn't have met Shem, I wouldn't be sitting here today, and I wouldn't be at top team. So I'm grateful for it. It's the start of my career. It started me to get to this point, so I'll always be grateful for it. But it's something that I probably wouldn't do again, and like I would probably recommend it if you want to do it, but it's something that you have to be smart with. Whereas I wasn't even signing the contract, I didn't have like a release clause or anything like that because I hadn't a clue about all this stuff. So you just need to be aware of what you're doing when you're getting into this game because it's a rootless game, and nobody cares about you apart
Yeah,
from your team and yourself. Other than that, like even if you have a good manager, you're lucky. But even sometimes management don't care about you. Promotions don't care about you at all unless you're putting bums on seats and you're making money for them. So it's one of them ones where you have to be very cautious of what you're doing.
yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned Paddy there, obviously legend
Yeah.
in Irish MMA. What was it like for you just getting to work alongside him, even for a short period?
Paddy is brilliant. He's so good at like the mental aspect and understanding the game and knowing when to be ready for a fight and how to get ready for a fight. He's a brilliant coach, and you've seen that with Shauna's last win as well. He has a good team around him. I was back home in Ireland not too long ago and done a bit of training with the lads in his gym. So he's a lot of good lads coming up. Some lads still at amateur, only some boys going pro now. He's a young team, so there's a lot of good things coming out of that Houlihan martial arts, and you'll have to keep a good eye on it. But Paddy's a big legend, and there's nothing bad I can say about him. He's a good person as well outside the MMA world as well. He's trying to do a lot for the country, a lot for the people of his area. So Paddy's one of the good ones.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Um, so I mean, this year I can't imagine has gone how you would have liked it in terms of activity. But what's your sort of goal? What's your aim for the rest of this year in that sense?
I'm not sure. I'm going one fight at a time. So after this fight, we'll see what there is. But I'm not really like planning stuff because there's no point. Like God has other things planned for me, and whatever He brings forward, I'll just take on, and that's all I can really say. It's one of them things where I go one fight at a time, one step at a time, one round at a time. Just like Rocky would say.
Yeah. So for you, is it more a sense of you don't want to just fight for fighting's sake? You want it to be the right fight at the right time?
Yeah, look, I'm at the point where like obviously I had two losses, then I had that little fight in June, which was getting me back into it. I won that, so I'm 1-2 now, and this will make me 2-2. It's a good little build off it. So we're just going off it like one fight at a time. We're not rushing anything, I'm in a point in my career where I need to take the right fights and fights that will test me against good opponents, but fights that I know that I'm definitely going to come out and win. It's not one of them where I'm looking past Ircow or anything like that, but I do believe in my abilities and my team around me. So
Yeah. So obviously, it's your first fight under a new team, first fight under the new promotion. There's going to be fans there that haven't seen you fight before, that are just seeing you for the first time. What can fans seeing you for the first time? What can they expect?
just expect just something great and entertaining. I have a lot of flair, I have a lot of skills, and I want to use as much of them as I can to put them away. I'm going for a finish. I'm not going to chase it, but I do think what I have in my pocket, it's going to come out nicely. So I do think I have a lot of traps and a lot of setups for this fella, and a lot of concepts that I've learned at top team that will help me get the win and get the win early enough.
Yeah. And do you feel like we're going to see the best version of you that we've ever seen?
Definitely the best version of me, as I said, physically and mentally, and it's going to show in the cage, and I'm going to come out victorious. I do think I could finish him within the first round. I just think that 5 minutes is a long time in there with me, especially with how long I am and dangerous. There's many weapons I have, many attacks, and the progression I've made is crazy. So I just can't wait to show it.
Yeah, looking forward to it, mate. So before I let you go here, just wanted to see if you wanted to give any shout outs to teammates, coaches, sponsors.
Yeah, shout out to like all the lads at top team. There's so many that going through the list I can't, but there's a few boys that are fighting soon, which is like Atiba, Kiru, Jordan Barton's fighting the same night as me. Maxwell's fighting in Washington. This is the thing that I'm saying. Like I get views of people fighting in the UFC, Road to UFC, PFL, Dana White Contender Series, all this stuff, and it just lightens me up and makes me want to work harder. And I can see where the progression is in the team. Same with Louis Lightning. He's fighting, defending his Aries World titles. There's so many opportunities for us, and I'm around like the best in the world. And I'm just a whole shout out to top team, everyone at top team. They've all helped me so much. So I'm just grateful for the people around me. Obviously, shout out to the two boys that are sponsoring me, the recovery team. That's Opie and Yemen as well. So if you're looking to get any massages or anything, get it done with them. That's all. That's mainly it.
Yeah. Just before we do wrap up there, you mentioned like obviously all the different opportunities there are for you now. Like, do you feel like this is probably the best position MMA in Europe certainly has ever been in? Like you said, you've got obviously PFL doing the Europe series, you've got LFL, you've got Aries, you've got like Hexagon, you've got Octagon as well. Obviously, like you've got FCC. There's so many opportunities for you now. Like, is there ever been a better time to be an MMA fighter? Do you think?
Nah, definitely not. The sport's so young and it's growing so much, but there's so many opportunities for us now. And like, I'm on this one fight deal with FCC. So after this, we'll see what opportunities come. But I'm just looking forward to the future now and getting the ball rolling. I know next year is going to be a busy year, but we need to finish this year with big finishes and keep it going. But I'm just happy to be where I am.
Yeah. Yeah, no, looking forward to it, mate. Can't wait to see you back in action. I'd say it's been too long without seeing you fight. So looking forward to seeing you back in action. As I said,
Thank you, bro.
7th of September, FCC, Armand's back in action. So make sure you're tuning in. If it is the first time you're going to be watching him, you're going to see something special, especially now that he's a Manchester top team. So can't wait. Armand, thank you so much for joining me, mate. Really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
man. Thanks. I appreciate being on. Shout out to you as well, bro, for having me on. It's I appreciate it a lot. I'm buzzing to get going. I can't wait. And if you are tuning in, shout me for tickets as well. It's going to be an absolute cracking fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll put a link in the post as well for tickets or whatever we need to do. But
Yeah,
yeah, get on Armand for your tickets. But yeah, thanks again, mate.
nice one, bro.